Hi everyone, today our group will be discussing about the concept of grammatical awareness in learners. We are going to touch a little bit on the definition of the grammatical awareness. Then we are going to continue with the issues and challenges about the grammatical awareness, and then we are going to provide and discuss the possible solutions to solve the issues and challenges. Okay, there are 3 persons in my group, which are me. I am Syawalin, Alya, binti Rozali, and also Nurul Fatihah, binti Abdul, Manan, and Aqila, Nadia, binti Salahutheen. I am the first presenter, and I am going to talk about the definitions and also the issues of grammatical awareness among the learners. Okay, I am going to start with the definition of grammatical awareness. Grammatical awareness refers to a learner's ability to recognize, to understand, and also to apply the rules and structure of a language. It's just not about the knowing the rules theoretically, but also being able to use the rule, to use them effectively in communication. This awareness developed through exposure, practice, and also reflection on language use. For example, a learner with grammatical awareness would not only know that we use is, with the singular subject, as in she is running, she is running. She here is the singular subject, so we use is. But also recognize when it is used incorrectly. For example, she are running. The person that have the grammatical awareness know that she are running is incorrect. Grammatical awareness plays a very crucial and vital role in language accuracy. It is to ensure that learners construct sentences correctly. Grammar awareness is important in communication. It helps learners to convey the ideas correctly and also effectively. And it is also important and vital for error detection. It enables the learners to self-correct mistakes in writing and speaking. So when we are doing the speaking and also writing, we ourselves can correct our mistake. I will discuss 3 critical issues that affect grammatical awareness among the learners, which are, the first one would be explicit grammar instruction, number 2, age and cognitive development, and also the third one is the interference from the first language. These issues plays a significant role in language learning and can affect learners' progress and performance in mastering grammar. Okay, let's dive into the first issue, which is the explicit grammar instruction. Okay, explicit grammar instructions involves directly teaching learners the role and structure of a language, which is focused on form and also the function. And although the explicit grammar instruction has its benefits, such as we can help the learners understand complex structures, but it also presents challenges that affect their grammatical awareness. The issue with explicit grammar instruction is regarding the over-reliance on rule memorization. We, the learners, focus too much on memorizing rules without understanding how to apply them in context. In easy words, we only memorize the rule without knowing how to use that in any situation. This memorization may lead to difficulties in using grammar effectively in spontaneous communication. We may have hard time using the grammatical rules in communication if we only memorize the rules. The learners may struggle to apply the theoretical rules in real-life communication. Okay, for example, the learners might understand the past tense forms when they are learning in class, but they fail to use them in conversation, and also when we give them exercises, they don't know how to apply the past tense rules. Okay, we can also relate the explicit grammar instruction with cognitive overload, which means that too much focus on the rules may overwhelm the learners, particularly the young ones, making it harder for them to internalize the language naturally. Because of that many rules, many young learners could not understand completely about the grammar. Alice 2006 emphasized that while explicit instruction is useful for learning complex structure, it must also be balanced with meaningful communication activities to ensure that learners can use grammar in real context. And explicit grammar instruction is also ineffective, as research suggests that students can acquire grammatical structure implicitly through repeated exposure to language input, even without consciously understand the rules. That means we can acquire the rules, we can acquire the knowledge implicitly through exposure without the need to memorize the rules. The second issue that is very closely related to grammatical awareness for learners is the learner's age and cognitive abilities. As learners grow, their capacity to understand and use the grammar evolves, influenced by factors such as the cognitive maturity, the learning strategies, and also the neurological readiness. Young learners, or children, tend to acquire grammar implicitly through exposure rather than explicit instruction. It is easier for them to be exposed to that language, to be exposed to that grammar rules, so that they can acquire the grammar implicitly through exposure. This is because their cognitive abilities favor recognizing patterns over understanding rules. They can't recognize the pattern, but they do not understand the rules. They can use the rules in the situation, in the sentence, in the structure, but they do not understand how the rule works. However, the young learners, they still lack metalinguistic awareness, meaning that they cannot consciously analyze the grammatical rules. They cannot analyze, they just know how to use that. For the older learners, such as the adolescents and also adults, we can analyze the grammar explicitly, and also we can analyze them on our own due to our developed cognitive abilities. However, we are more prone to fossilization, where incorrect grammar becomes habitual. So that means we may keep repeating the incorrect grammar in our everyday lives. This age and cognitive development is very related to the critical period hypothesis. This age and cognitive development is closely related to the critical period hypothesis. Aqila in 1967 suggests that learners acquire grammar more effectively before puberty due to higher neuroplasticity. That means it is easier for us to acquire grammar when we are younger. The third issue regarding grammatical awareness among learners is the first language interference, which also known as language transfer. Language interference refers to the influence of a learner's native language on their second language acquisition. For example, our second language is English, so our first language, Malay, would interfere with our English acquisition. And this interference may affect grammatical awareness, leading to errors and also difficulties in mastering the grammar of the target language, which is the second language. The main concern about the interference is the structural differences. We know that every language has its structure. So, if the grammatical structures of L1 and also L2 differ significantly, learners may incorrectly apply L1 rules to L2 rules. Okay, for example, a Malay speaker. Just like me, I am a Malay speaker. My L1 is Malay and my L2 is English. I am learning English, so my L1 might interfere with my L2. For example, I might say, he go to school every day. Saya pergi ke sekolah setiap hari. Without a marker for tenses. In English, I should say he goes to school every day. But because in Malay we don't have the tense, we tend to use the rules of Malay in English. And the error that caused by L1 interference can become permanent if not addressed early, especially in adult learners. We may keep repeating the same mistake if we didn't address it early. Creation in 1982, which is cited in Fakazli 2021, argued that second language studies favor the idea of knowing how grammatical structure work in the target language explicitly. It's not obligatory and also adequate.
So, Assalamualaikum and hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, everyone. So, thank you for joining our group presentation for today. My name is Nurul, Fatihah, binti Abdul, Manan, and I will be continuing my friend's part of the presentation, which is regarding the. Okay, as we already know, our focus today is regarding the development of grammatical awareness among learners. So although the concept is very important in language acquisition, the grammar itself, the process is often stuck with challenges and issues. So with that being said, previously my friend has already mentioned about the three issues that weigh on the process, which are number one, explicit grammar instruction, the restriction of age and cognitive abilities, and lastly, the interference of the first language. So now come along with me to discuss the solutions specifically to address these challenges. To address these issues and interferences. So the first, and in my part, we will slowly talk about the issues, and then we will cover a little bit on the issues, and then we will move towards the solution bit by bit. So I hope you will understand. Okay, so for the first solution and issues, which is regarding the learner's age and cognitive abilities, it is known that age and thinking skills development greatly influence grammatical awareness. This is because the younger generation, they gains knowledge implicitly by exposure and also the usage of it. However, for the older generation, they tend to acquire it explicitly due to their different and more advanced cognitive skills. So let's dive into this topic deeper. So for the solution for the issues of learners' age and cognitive abilities, I would suggest to have an age-appropriate methods. Okay, this is because a 2013 research study done by Lightbound and Spada states the importance of age-appropriate methods as a way to cater to foster grammatical awareness. Okay, this is because environments that are rich in contextualized grammar use are suitable for the younger generation. Okay, the easiest example that I can give you regarding this statement is that songs, storytellings, and even games were used all over the world in learning a second language. Okay, doesn't matter if it's in ESL, English as second language, or whether other language. The usage of songs, storytelling, or even games were used for specifically for the younger generation, for them to learn the language. This is because they can learn the language implicitly. it is easier for them to gain the knowledge. And these methods, songs, storytelling, and games, they are proven to help in executing implicit learning. In my experience myself, I'm currently teaching year 1, English year 1. So my students, they tend to understand the topic faster when I use songs or games when I taught them certain topics or concepts. For example, I was teaching them regarding preposition. Okay, when I am teaching in front, when I was using a traditional teaching method, I mean like talk using the chalkboard and all, there are a few students of the dance. So, but then when I use the concepts of songs, when I use songs in my preposition teaching, when I teach preposition using songs, they tend to understand the topic better, and the amount of students that actually can answer my questions and understand, they can grasp the concept is higher than before. So it is proven that these kinds of activities can actually help the students to actually implicitly learning the language. Okay, next, meanwhile, structured tasks that cater to both inductive and deductive learning are recommended to the older generation. Okay, this is because the exploring activities guided by the educators can also be executed, as it could help the learner to learn more by analyzing patterns of the language based on authentic language use. Okay, next, let us move towards to the second issue and the second solution, which is our issues that have been explained by my friends earlier, Syawalin, is the explicit grammar instruction. So the topic of explicit grammar instruction is actually very scandalous, because many researchers stated that it could demotivate the learner, so that when learners, they are learning a new language, they are very confused, right? They already have that worriness whether they could learn the new language, like a new environment, right? But then when they saw the grammar, the concepts of all of that, they could get like threatened. They might feel scared to learn about the language. But then there are other researchers that claims otherwise, meaning that they say like, oh, when the students actually learn about the grammar and all explicitly, it could be a foundation for them to have a more advanced language use, meaning that they could like use the language in a more advanced way rather than like a simple English speaking abilities. They could speak English very fluently using the right grammar, and this is the correct grammar and all. So the solution for this issue is to have a meaningful grammar practice, but with interactive activities. So from Alice 2006, the researcher highlights the significance of integrating explicit instruction with meaningful practice. For example, focus on form is one of the effective strategies suggested, whereby the practice went as the grammar instruction applied with the communicative activities. For example, in task-based language learning activities, to educate, they can give targeted and immediate feedback to the learner. But then, for practice outside of classroom, the learners can play online grammar exercises and even grammar game apps as a way for them to stay engaged in practicing grammar awareness, even if they are not in a formal situation. Okay, last but not least, in the issue of interference of the first language. So, first language interference is a commonly known as an issue in grammatical processes, and it's no longer like an alien issue, because we already know that when you are learning a second language, we're learning a new language as a second language. Of course, there will be some interference with the first language, because the concept of the first language is embedded deeply within the learners. So sometimes they will have difficulties to like apply the second language because they are already used to the first language. Okay, so another reason this is because the differences in syntactical and morphological rules between the first and the second language that they learned and they are currently learning. So as the learner is accustomed to the rules of the language, to the rules of the first language, it might be a challenge for the learner to learn the concepts and rules of the second language. For example, the easiest example I can give you is that in Malay language, we don't actually have the usage of the articles the or the determiners and an. So like when you want to talk about something, we just say like buku. We don't say the book, or like an apple. We just say apple. But then in English, we actually need to have the determiner in front. And then another example is that they need to have the specific verb tenses in English language. So the solution for this issue is that for the educators to use the concept of interlanguage and also contrastive analysis. So first, we're going to talk about contrastive analysis. Okay, Odlin, 1989, his study, the researcher expresses that contrastive analysis can be used to address this challenge of the first language interference. Through this activity, the teacher can create activities that explicitly compare and differentiate the key components of the first and the second language. Although the concept of contrastive analysis is very simple and very like easy to do, but then I believe that it is one of the approaches, easy approaches for the learners to feel like it's better for the learners to have an easy approach for them to not feel threatened with the second language. So when they see comparison side by side, they can actually understand the concept of the second language better. Okay, aside from that, error analysis is also crucial in helping the teachers detect. Error analysis is also crucial in for the teachers to help the teachers to detect the repeated patterns of mistakes and help learners to avoid mistakes in the future. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the concept of interlanguage, which is interlanguage can also be used by educators or teachers outside. It's teachers all around the world, as it can be some help to the learner in approaching their target language or their second language. Okay, so according to the study done by Wang and Fan, if I pronounced it correctly, 2020, the concept, the interlanguage can be defined as a motif language that is used by second language learners to approach the targeted language step by step whilst in the process of learning of the second language. So actually, interlanguage is not actually like a real language. It's that interlanguage is actually a motif language. Another approach for them to use to actually to learn about the system and the concept rather than jumping straight ahead into the second language. So this concept actually was introduced as one of the theories in ESL learning, in language as second language learning, and was promoted by American linguist Salinker, if I pronounce that name right. I'm sorry, Miss Khan. But then the concept is taken into consideration in learning the second language because the student can actually revise the concept and systems to accommodate for them to accommodate the second language, so that when they actually when they have this approach step by step in learning the second language before they actually approach this the second language as a full thing, it actually help them prepare themselves to understand the language better, and it also can help the educators to prepare learning materials, teaching materials for the students to understand the language better. In my conclusion, it is determined that these issues influence the development of grammatical awareness. Interference of first language, explicit grammar instruction, and last but not least, the learner's age and cognitive abilities. So by integrating explicit instruction into meaningful context, by applying age-appropriate methods, and addressing the interference of the first language with contrastive analysis and interlanguage, teachers can help the learners to solve these issues better. And that's all from me. Thank you for today.
Okay, good day everyone. My name is Aqila Nadia binti Salahutheen. Today, I'll be discussing the key challenges faced by Malaysian teachers in teaching grammar and some strategies to overcome these challenges. As we all know, grammatical awareness plays a vital role in language proficiency. But teachers face various obstacles in teaching it effectively. Let's look at these challenges and solutions in more details.
Okay, the first challenge is the overemphasis on examinations. In Malaysia education systems, there is significant overemphasis on examination as primary means assessing academic performance. This exam-driven approach is evident in English language education, where students often encounter grammar drills that emphasize rule-based learning. As a result, students are typically trained to recall rules in isolation without fully understanding their contents or applications in real communications. So, according to Cheng and Liu 2020, this approach may help students to perform very well in exams, and it does so little critical thinking or language fluency, which is necessary for using language effectively beyond the classroom. Therefore, the proper solution to these issues is to shift towards formative assessments, which is moving away from purely exam-based assessment to more formative assessments, which are ongoing assessments such as quizzes, group works, project-based evaluations. These allow to gauge students' understanding of grammar and language use in more natural and varied contexts. For the second one is contextual learning of grammar. Instead of focusing only on memorizing rules, teachers should integrate grammar instructions with activities such as debates, role-playing, and storytelling. This allows students to experience grammar in use, making it more relevant and meaningful. And the third one is encourage collaborative learning. By encouraging students to work together on tasks that require the use of English, this helps them to internalize grammatical structures through peer feedback and discussions. Therefore, collaborative tasks promote a deeper understanding of language use beyond exam. Okay, the second challenge is the inconsistent use of English in daily communications. In Malaysia, the limited use of English outside the classroom setting can significantly hinder students' opportunity to practice and also utilize English, especially grammar and language structures in real life. This challenge is particularly relevant as students may have little exposure to English beyond textbooks, affecting their fluency and comprehension. Okay, to overcome these challenges, the proposed solutions is promoting English through immersive contexts. In this context means use English in more immersive and engaging environments. According to Alya and Thomas 2021, language immersion plays a crucial role in the acquisitions of grammatical structure as it shifts students' focus from memorization to real communications. As for example, students can engage more in extracurricular activities such as English clubs, English debates, classroom debates, and more. This to provide students with practical opportunities to use English language outside the formal learning classes. Also, by encouraging informal conversation, according to Tan and Ling 2022, language learning through interaction in informal settings lead to a better retention and also understanding of grammatical rules compared to traditional classroom methods. For example, by encouraging informal conversation in English among students, especially in peer-led settings like group projects, can also help students utilize English grammar and vocabulary more naturally. Next one is
A significant challenge in language learning, particularly in Malaysia's education system, is the lack of personalized feedback and error connections. Due to time constraints and large class sizes, teachers often struggle to provide individualized attention to every student, which can result in persistent grammatical errors that go unaddressed, as quoted by Shamsuddin and Muhammad 2021. So without the constant feedback from teachers, students may not recognize their mistakes, making it difficult for them to improve their learning skills over time. Therefore, to overcome this challenge, peer feedback and collaborative learning practices can be introduced as effective strategies to foster a more supportive and interactive learning environment. In peer feedback, students are encouraged to review and provide constructive criticisms on each other's works. So Chan 2020 said that peer feedback can enhance language learning by fostering greater engagement and reinforcing grammatical concepts. Furthermore, collaborative learning activities such as group discussions, joint writing tasks, and also collaborative problem-solving exercises provide students with a platform to discuss and resolve errors together. According to Yap and Lim 2020, this social approach learning enables students to learn from each other to improve their understanding of grammar through collaborative engagement. Therefore, by integrating peer feedback and collaborative learning into the classrooms, students can benefit from multiple perspectives, while teachers can focus on providing more targeted feedback on individual progress. Okay, to conclude, by making grammar lessons more engaging, differentiating instructions, and fostering a supportive learning environment, we can overcome these challenges and help students to develop stronger grammatical awareness. So thank you for your attention. I hope this presentation has provided valuable insights into how we can improve grammar awareness in Malaysia classroom.